Welcome back to another video. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. Manchester City won, Tottenham Hotspur 0 in the Carabao Cup Final. I've just got back from Wembley Stadium and I must say I'm absolutely gutted. So disappointed, I can't tell you. I've got 4 guests with me, Gary, Gareth, Craig and Paul. I don't even know where to start. Gary, let's start with you. How are you feeling?
Yeah, gutted. Look, I know it's been a roller coaster season, but I would have bet my house we'd win that today. I honestly, and as terrible as we were, because let's be honest, we were absolutely awful, especially first half. But second half we weren't much better. But I don't know what it was. Just the longer it went and it stayed 0-0, I just thought, we're going to nick it. But I just think Son was so quiet. Kane was so quiet. I don't actually think the defence had a bad game. I think most of the defence played quite well. The midfield's a bit non-existent. I mean, I know a lot of people were moaning Ndombele didn't play and he played Winks instead, but Ndombele has been terrible last few games. So the team lineup, I know he didn't start Bell. I was thinking, why is he not starting Bell? But the longer it went on and it stayed 0-0, I thought it was a perfect opportunity when he brought Bell on for us to nick the game. But it just wasn't meant to be. But I honestly thought our names were on that trophy. I really did, Gutted.
Gareth, let's come to you. How are you feeling? How did you see the game today?
Well, it was absolutely gutting they lose, obviously. We went into the game with so much optimism after Wednesday's game, but Gary sort of spoke how I felt. I thought that, defensively, I thought we were decent.
Yeah.
Dyer had a couple of loose passes, but I thought Toby did well. Lloris had a great game. Oyer at times was very good until he gave away a silly free kick. I thought Reagan had one of his worst games in a Spurs shirt. He was the only player in the back 5 that underperformed. Midfield, we were shocking bad, really, really bad. Winks was in there. I was agreeing with you, Gary. And Ndombele, I didn't want to see him on there because of I thought that it was a passenger in a game where we couldn't afford to carry him. But he was left out. I thought Sissoko would play over Winks, but Winks came in. And he's on there to get on the ball. Winks, Højbjerg and Lo Celso at times didn't, in the first half, really didn't show for the ball. And that's a massive, massive thing. We were getting pressed so much, he's no way out. And it resulted in long ball football. And, the fun free race loaded at times. And as you give the game on, Lucas Moura was probably our best player at times in terms of he was dribbling. He come off. Lo Celso, he was poor in the first half, but he was probably our best midfielder in the second half. He come off. And I do put that down to an experience with Ryan. I was really behind Ryan, and I still am, because, he's been put in the position that's impossible for him. He's only a young manager. But I thought that was mistakes made in the second half that he brought probably our 2 most promising players off. But in the end, we can't complain with the result. We didn't really turn up. And City were deserved winners. They won the half-time 0-0. It was a big relief. And as Gary said, it did almost feel like our name was on the cup because City had missed so many chances. They were hitting the post and stuff and things were going our way. But it wasn't to be, and it's really, really disappointing.
Yeah.
Melvin, let's come to you. Thanks for joining me. It's always very, very difficult talking about Spurs after a defeat, particularly games like this where, a lot of us have built ourselves up. A lot of us have told us that the trophies are coming. And, I just feel absolutely deflated. I feel like we're going round in circles. I feel like we talk about the same stuff again and again. Gareth said there that we just didn't turn up. Melvin, how are you feeling?
Yeah, obviously, disappointed we didn't get it over the line, but, I didn't really expect us to win today. All the signs point towards us losing. Luckily it was only 1-0. What do you expect? City have been, winning consistently all season, and all of a sudden you just can't turn it around by sacking Jose and, expect us, to beat them in a cup final. They have quality players. I think, at 80 minutes and it's still 0-0, it's disappointing, when we can see the goal like that, because we've worked so hard to get to that point. And, credit to Ryan and the staff, because even though we were lucky at times, we were still in it. It could have gone to extra time, it could have gone to penalties, but it's disappointing, but it is what it is. And I expected the defeat, but at 80th minute we were still in there. We were still, with one hand on the trophy, but it just wasn't meant to be, and it wasn't our day. And it's a shame because Sissoko seems to have let us down in 2 cup finals now, and it is what it is.
Now, before we talk about the starting 11, Craig and Paul, I just want your thoughts on the game. Craig, let's come to you first.
Yeah, I'm just so you know, I'm missing the next instalment of Line of Duty to do this, so that's how committed to Tottenham I am.
Don't jack.
You know, I know you will be, mate. Yeah. So the commitment's still there for me. But no, I woke up actually feeling quite optimistic this morning. You know, I was really excited. Put my Spurs shirt on. Actually thought we'd win. I still had that thought, and then the team selection come out, which I know we're coming on to, and my heart sank, if I'm honest. I think that's where it started to go wrong. And surprisingly, the players, I know we'll get into it, but Bale not starting is criminal for me after his second half display in the week. And I thought Toby, and to be fair to him, Dyer were really good. Hugo was immense, and it was the fullbacks that didn't really do us any favours today. But we'll get into the players, so I won't touch too much on Sonny and Kane and everyone else. But yeah, very, very disappointed. And yet another final, another big occasion where we just didn't turn up. And that's the most frustrating thing for me. You know, I genuinely thought we were going to take that game to City and, throw caution to the wind and at least go down fighting if we were going to go down. And we just didn't. And again, it was like Jose Mourinho was there in Ryan Mason's ear. You know, it was bizarre. It was like Jose had rung him and picked the team for him. I don't know how that team today, after the second half display against Southampton, I don't know where that come from today. How can you have it's polar opposites? And again, we haven't turned up in a final. And Son crying at the end. I'm sorry, he's probably crying at his own performance. And I love Sonny. I don't want to run him down too much because I don't think that's right. But he knows in himself he didn't have a good game. In fact, he had a shocker. I'm surprised Alistair Gold give him a 4, to be honest, in his ratings. He was terrible. But then again, some of the other players were, which we'll get into. But yeah, very disappointed, Chris. Very disappointed again.
Yeah. Paul, I know you're one of the positive ones. I spoke to you in the week, and you expected Tottenham to win this game. How are you feeling?
Yeah, just against Chris and everyone. Thing we start in the final, we don't even come out guns blazing, and I'm positive, and I always will back Spurs. But you just think so many times now that these players can't get up for these big occasions, and mentality, is it team selection? We'll never know. But when you'll get up for a cup final, you're playing for Tottenham. Right, don't get me wrong, Man City are an amazing team. They've got an amazing squad in depth, etc. But if you lack what you lack for quality, you make up in passion and heart and commitment and desire. I didn't see after that, like you say, you've named so far in the back, apart from the wing backs, I thought amazing. And Toby, Dyer, Lloris, I feel sorry for them. It's 100% fit. We would never know. He was so overrun by their midfield. For me, Winks and Højbjerg in the centre pairing, I thought that was a bit of a weird mishmash. Personally, I'd rather see one holding midfield and another attacking like Delhi maybe. But positive can I take from that? Well, I'm for words really, Chris. Who do you blame? Do you blame the board? Do you blame the players? Do you blame the fact that we sacked Jose? It's a collective issue, I think. Again, like we've highlighted in the past, someone needs a massive transition. Whoever comes in, there's got to be a complete overhaul in everything. I think how the club's run, personally.
Gary, let's come to you. The team selection today. I was inside Wembley Stadium when that team came out, and there were a few surprises in there. Harry Kane, of course, every Tottenham Hotspur fan was looking at Harry Kane on that team sheet. And then, of course, we noticed another Harry on there, Harry Winks, of course, started the game in the Champions League final 2 years ago and started this one today. Hugo Lloris in goal, and in the back four of Sergio Aurier, Toby Alderweireld, Eric Dyer and Sergio Reguilon. And then in midfield, Harry Winks, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, Giovanni Lo Celso, Lucas Moura, Heung-min Son and Harry Kane. Now, Will Stewart writes here, 100% down to team selection, all on Ryan Mason and Daniel Levy. Now, when you saw that team lineup, how did you feel?
I mean, I was shocked Bell wasn't starting, but in regards to Winks, I didn't think he had it wasn't that bad, Winks, today. I thought he had an all right game. And like I touched on earlier, I mean, I was fairly happy to see Winks in there because Dombele, I mean, I've been a massive fan of Dombele, but in the last few games, he's just been non-existent, you know? So for me, when Winks was in there, I was happy with that. The team, look, Harry Kane started. We'll never know, you know, like what Craig said, was he fully fit? Wasn't he? Was it down to Man City's defending and how they are as a team that Son and Kane didn't get a look in? Or was it because Kane wasn't fit? Should he have taken Kane off and thrown Vinicius on? I mean, look, it was 0-0. I'm not sure when Bell come on. Was it 65th minute or somewhere around there? You know,
67.
Right, 67th minute. So you're 0-0. You've ridden your luck. You've not gone behind. You bring Gareth Bell on. All right. To me, that's a perfect substitution. You got the opportunity there for Bell to do his thing like he did at Southampton. It was set up for us to then go and take that game to City and win it, you know, in the last 15, 20 minutes and get the goal. But look, we all know the guy that scored it shouldn't have been on the pitch, but at the end of the day, it's all ifs and buts. Was it even a foul? You know, Sterling goes down very easy. There's all ifs, buts, maybes, you know, and it's just disappointing at the end of the day. But I can't really complain too much at the team selection because I kind of understood it to a certain extent, you know. So I think with that team out there, we could have performed a lot better than what we did. You know, at the end of the day, we just weren't up for it. Like what Craig touched on, we just, from as soon as that whistle went, we didn't even look like we wanted to have it with City. That's the frustrating thing about it. And the longer it went on 0-0, even though we didn't look any better, you still think in the back of your mind, the longer it stays 0-0, we've got a chance. Because when we played them early in the season, it was all them, all possession. We were awful, but they went down to 10 men and we nicked a 2-0 win. And it could have almost been identical today, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to be. But I really, really did think we'd win that today. Everything was set up for us to take it to City and win, and we didn't, unfortunately. You know, it is what it is. It's Tottenham, innit? Heartbreak Hotspurs, as we know, unfortunately. You know, you don't support Tottenham for the trophies, you support them because you're glutton for punishment, I think.
Gareth, why is this happening? Because, you know, what really guts me as a Tottenham fan and what really disappoints me and makes me sad today is that I feel that we didn't go into this game 100%. We didn't give 100% on the pitch. We didn't give everything that we could do on the pitch. And that's what really, really disappoints me, because if you lose a game and the fans know that the players have given absolutely everything and they've left absolutely nothing, you know, left to give, then you can accept the defeat. But this is why I'm so disappointed yet again. Yeah. Why is it that these players and this club just don't get over the line? Because when you think back now to the last 4 cup finals that we have had in all competitions since we last won a trophy. Last won a trophy 13 years ago. Yeah. 2009 was a 0-0 draw. We lost on penalties against Manchester United. 2015, we lost 2-0 at Wembley to Chelsea in the League Cup. A couple of years ago in the Champions League final, lost 2-0, and now lost again 1-0. You know, surely players like Harry Kane, they must be thinking, what on earth do I need to do at this club to win a trophy?
Yeah, Chris, there's even semi-finals on there you could throw on. I mean, other parts, you know, we had so many semi-finals that we didn't turn up on. You know, and it's a common theme of the club at the minute. You know, it doesn't seem to matter who's in charge, you know, what kind of players go on the pitch. It's, you know, I get a lot of stick from fans in Ireland. You know, most of my mates are United fans, Liverpool fans, you know, of being Spursy. And I hate the word Spursy. But, you know, it's just hard to get away from it now because it's happened so many times. And like Gary, I keep saying, you know, Gary makes some fantastic points about, you know, the way we turned up today. You know, from the first whistle, we didn't look anywhere. You know, I coach football. You know, I encourage my teams to, if we're coming up against a good team, they press from the front with no intensity from the front. And we just sat off City and let them play. We let them take control of the game. You know, I watched them against Leeds. I watched them against Aston Villa. And I thought that we had really, really good chance if we turned up and played anywhere near our best today. Yeah. And, you know, people always talk about Spurs not having any luck in finals. I thought we had all the luck in the world today. You know, going into half-time, 0-0. City must have come a chance.
Down.
Spurs, and Spurs never really turned up. And, you know, the game was there, as Gary says, the longer it went on, you almost felt like, you know, one counter-attack here and it's on. And it did fall. There was actually one moment in the game where Kane probably should have played Højbjerg early. You just wish it had been Son, and we'll talk about players as we go on. But you know, defensively, I thought we were as we spoke about, we were sound. Midfield, I mean, I think Gary, Craig spoke about Winks. I don't want to scapegoat Winks. I don't think he's good enough to be at this football club anymore. I think we've been around, and Chris, you spoke about being around in circles. Most of this team have been around in circles, and we're going through the same every year. Performances haven't been good enough. Managers are getting sacked constantly. And although what I'd say about subs, not being right, in my opinion, I find it hard to blame Ryan, because Ryan's just been put into that job, and I'm not going to come on here and slander Ryan, because you could see in that first half that Ryan was hurt by the performance. You could see he wasn't happy at all. This was his dream moment as a fan, to be in charge of the club. Fairy tale story about his skull injury, and the players let down. And how many times they come on here, Chris, and say about the players letting so you can speak about tactics, management, the board, but the players are letting us down as fans every time we get into this position, and it's a big worry going forward. And I'm sure we'll get into the board and who the manager is next season, and where we go from here. But deep down, it's the same thing every year. The players aren't doing it for us.
Gareth, comment here. Pep only fears one manager in football. That's Jose Mourinho. Did any part of you hope that Jose Mourinho would be in charge today? Because it's funny. A lot of people were very pleased when Jose Mourinho was sacked by Spurs, but I've seen a number of comments today by Tottenham fans saying, "Well, Jose should have been in charge of this game, and he might have got us over the line." How are you feeling about that?
Nah, I don't agree. If it had been last year, maybe, but it was evident towards the end that it was at that point with Jose that things needed to be changed. And I think in fairness to how we played today, it was almost like Mourinho was in charge. We sat off. We let Man City dictate the play. If Man City had to beat us, Man City were fantastic in them first 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but I thought that we allowed them to do that. At times, and we not pressing and not getting under their faces. I think Gary Neville spoke about it in commentary about Spurs have just haven't turned up. And how many times, as we said, have we said that? And there's no point of me to think it would have been any better with Jose. If it had him a year ago, you think about that game we played against Man City in November. Yes, we're wind the clock back. If the cup finals in November, yes, Mourinho would have been the man for it. But with how things went on, I don't think it would have made any difference. I thought it at large spells of the game. It was almost reminiscent of Mourinho games before, where we were hardly at any of the ball and we were relying on counterattacks. And in the end, the better team won. Can't have too many complaints. But I'm not so annoyed at the result. It's just, as a club, we've been in this position so many times. And this squad of players, and it's just hard to see where we go from here.
Very hard. It really is. And as I say, I just feel gutted, still feel very down about this game and about the performance today. Melvin, let's come to you. Will Stewart writes here, can someone explain how Lucas Moura gets taken off the pitch after 67 minutes? Looking like the only player that wanted something. Certainly Gareth Bale comes on for Lo Celso and Moura goes 10. Why do you think that Lucas Moura come off, and what do you think of his performance today?
I disagree with. I think I agree with that comment saying that Jose should have had this final. I think if Jose was in charge, he wouldn't have made that substitution. Moura was causing problems in the middle. He was getting fouled, getting players booked, and with Fernandinho on a yellow card and Laporte on a yellow card, they couldn't touch him. So he was our most dangerous player. The substitution didn't make any sense. Sissoko has been substituted so many times this season, and we end up losing or drawing the match. So many times he's let us down this season. He gets substituted and can't match the intensity of the game. He does it time and time again. It's either he's getting too old or, it just doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work anymore, and he keeps letting us down. He can't match the intensity of a final. How can you not jump and mark your man? You lose him. There's 10 minutes left to take it to extra time. How can you allow such things? It's unacceptable. The substitutions didn't make sense, and the naivety of Ryan Mason showed a bit today. I think Jose would have not made those substitutions. And listen, probably under Jose, maybe we would have lost as well. But to not have him in the final, I think, to say not having Jose in the final I don't agree with that comment. I think his experience and his knowledge, and he's been working with those bunch of players for nearly 2 years now, and to have Ryan Mason in the job. And listen, I love Ryan Mason, and I prayed that we won today. I really wanted that trophy for him, and obviously for us, because we deserve it and we needed it. But it would have been a fairy tale if Ryan have won it, but it wasn't meant to be. But to me, those substitutions didn't make sense. And taking Lucas Moura off, Lucas Moura got us to a Champions League final, by the scruff of the neck. There was 30 seconds left, and the guy can do anything. He's capable of. He's a big game player. Sadly, Son isn't anymore, and Kane isn't really anymore when we need him. How many times did Kane really not turn up for these big must-win games?
Do you know what, Melvin? I was saying exactly the same thing on the way home about Harry Kane. It's amazing. I love Harry Kane. I love a lot of these Tottenham Hotspur players. But when it comes to big games like this, you need these players to turn up. And I'm now questioning a lot of these.
That's harsh on Harry. I think it's pretty harsh on Harry, honestly.
Sorry, Gareth?
I think that's really harsh on Harry, honestly. I really do. Especially now that
he does. He consistently scores game after game, and he saves us from so much. Without him, we'd be in massive trouble. But when we really need him in big games, where we really need to win, sometimes he's let us down.
It's hard.
He's not perfect, is he? But
it's hard. It's hard.
These games when we really need him, he's let us down, and so has Son.
I think in a way we're too reliant on Harry Kane. We're relying on him to do that spark kind of thing. We miss Eriksen terribly just for his offer a pass, his technical ability to putting someone through on goal where you wouldn't see it visibly. Slip him in behind the back of the defenders like Bruyne was doing. That ball he put to Sterling was on the sixpence. We miss that kind of person in our.
That was unbelievable. That ball, wasn't it? God.
Yeah. See, to be honest, when it comes to Harry, right, I think he's a better player now than he has been over the last few years. I think when you go back to the Pochettino era, I think we're seeing the best of Harry now. He's in his prime career. Yeah. And I think the problem is the team's regressed, and there's a over reliance on Harry. You think about Dele Alli and Eriksen. They were giving Kane chances galore. I mean, Spurs were the best team they watched in the country from 2015 to 2017-18. I know Pep come on and Man City were up there, but Spurs run that bracket. They were unbelievable to watch. Everybody wanted to watch them. And they were creating chances galore. But now Harry's probably become a better player in terms of we rely on him more, but it's probably the wrong time. We always say this with players. It's always the right players at the wrong time, or the wrong players at the right time. I don't know what it is, but.
Gareth, I agree, and I think that the problem is that Harry Kane is doing 2 or 3 players' job, and I think that is the issue, and I think that's probably why he hasn't performed in games like this.
I think the trouble with Kane today was he just didn't get the ball. None of the front players had the ball, and you can have the best player in the world. We could have had Messi on that pitch today. Yeah. I guarantee he wouldn't have done much.
Not going to get the service.
You've got to. Exactly, you've got to get the service, and he had none. Albeit, he didn't have a shot today, Harry Kane.
No, Craig, right?
We have one.
The ball, Craig, see when Harry gets the ball, I get butterflies in my stomach at times. I think he picks up the ball in a position, you think, oh my God, he's going to spray somebody in, or he's going to do something. Whereas comes to Son at times, and we're going to get the players, obviously Chris will talk about it, but sometimes he's going backwards. Kane always seems to want to go forwards. He always seems to try and create something. And he seemed in the first few minutes, he was getting at Winks, he's passionate. I can't remember a player, I'm only 23. A player having, this is the best player I've ever seen at Spurs, and I will criticize Harry if he has bad games, but I find it difficult because he drags us through the mud, and I think he's really suffering now in a really average team, and that's what we've become. I think Son, you see McCain was injured, that he relies on Harry so much, but when Son gets a service, he's a quality player. That he had a bad day. I'm not going to hammer him, but he has had bad games before. Yeah. I think it's on a cup final. It's going to be highlighted more how poor he was. But that's the kind of performance we've been associated with Son for years. He does have bad games, but with Harry, it's very difficult to criticize him. That's just my opinion.
Thing is, we weren't going forward as much as we should have been. No. The one time that really wound me up more than anything, I think we were 1-0 down by this stage. Reguilon we had a throw kind of level with the 18-yard line, and with 2 touches, he was back at Hugo Lloris, and then he kicked it out to the right-hand side, and we lost possession, and Man City got a throw. Why are we not launching that into the box?
It's ridiculous.
You know, it's stupid things like that. It winds me up. I get there's a time to go back and keep possession. That was not the time. And why Reguilón's going back? You know, you get somebody go almost route one. Go with a long throw. It can work. You know,
Craig,
that's where it's most effective.
Craig, I think that tells you the mentality in the team, though, and I don't put that into the Spursiness. I think that's down to, we spoke about it before about being fragile with results over the last few years. I think the team have such a low confidence at the moment.
Yeah,
and I don't know whether they're reading too much on what's been said about them, but I really think at the moment there's a really low confidence. There's a really low mood. I mean, that moment you spoke about, my dad went absolutely crazy, but that was happening quite a lot where players were going backwards so much. You know, we had throw-ins towards 8-yard box, and we were end back on the Reese, kicking the ball out the touch. You know, and it was a really low moment. You know, if we had a beat 3 or 4-0 today and we had it turned up and played, I mean, people talk about the Bayern Munich game, the game we lost 7-2. You know, I think that was one of them nights where everything that could have went wrong. You know, in that first half, Spurs could have been 3 or 4-0. You know, we played a lot better that night than we did today.
Yeah. Reguilón, I don't know what was going on with Reguilón today. He seems to have lost it.
It's shocking.
The same thing's happened. We've seen with Rodon, right? Rodon's a great player for Wales. You know, he's brilliant. Like, you know, he was brilliant for Swansea. We're seeing the same thing with Reggie, and now we're seeing with all these other players. They come to a team that are fragile. They make mistakes. It creates nervousness. I think that's what's happened with Lloris. You know, I'm not Lloris's biggest fan. He had a great game today, to be fair. Yeah. But I think what's happened to him over the years is he's regressed because of so many changes at the back, so many players not taking responsibility, and so many players making mistakes, and it creates an uneasiness in the whole team. And I think that's what's happening with Reguilón. Reguilón, you've seen them first few months how good he was, but the same thing.
Craig, let's come back to you. I want to discuss Colin's point here on the screen. All I wanted to see was some fight. I'm angry at the effort shown. Do you feel angry?
Yeah, very much so. Again, you know, regardless of what I thought of the team selection, you just, who matter was on that pitch, no matter who was on that pitch, you just wanted to see a bit of fight, you know. And I just didn't want to see. Exactly. And I just didn't want to see a rerun of the Champions League final where we didn't turn up, or the final back in, was it 2015? Yeah. It's to be honest, the final in 2008, we won it, but you know, you could argue on paper we probably didn't deserve to win it. You know, I mean, it's becoming all too familiar. You know, like you said earlier, there, we're just not turning up in big games. The big players, they're not turning up in the big games. And yeah, you could say, like I said, Kane and Son didn't get the service, but I don't know. There's other players there that, you know, in the midfield today, they're the ones that should be supplying the bullets. We didn't have an Eriksen again today, did we? We didn't have anybody in that central midfield taking control, to be honest. And taking Moura off for me was criminal. I could not believe that. He was the only one that looked dangerous. Give him the ball, let him run at the players that got the yellow cards.
Exactly.
You know, he was the only one. You could see when he picked that ball up, they were scared of him going through. Why did they foul him? They fouled him. He got yellow cards. Exactly. They got yellow cards because the only way they could stop him was to foul him. And you keep doing that. You keep doing that. As soon as he went off, I thought, for me, that done it for me. I thought, we ain't going to win this without Moura, to be honest, because he was the only one out there. And when he went off, just left a massive hole. Gareth Bale ain't going to do that anymore, sadly, but he can provide you bits of magic. He wasn't given the ball either. It was just lumped up in the air to win flick-ons. You know, it was just... There was just no passion. It did just seem to me there was no passion, desire. It was a desire. That's the right word. No desire to win. It was almost like we'd lost before we turned up.
Yeah.
See, in the second half, I thought Man City were very average. First half, they were very good. Second half, that game was crying out for a team to go. In the second half, that team was crying out for any decent team would have went and give City a proper game. Yeah. And we sort of we had the odd counter-attack, but we never really took control of the game. And was crying out for that moment. And as the game ticked on, you rightly spoke, Gary, about, you know, the game, you know, you sort of felt it was going to be Spurs' day.
Yeah, we could get it. We could have won that.
We could have won it. And that was
the gas, didn't they?
People will blame Sissoko for it was poor defending. It really was poor.
Yeah.
Poirier giving away a silly free kick. It was really, really bad.
Yeah.
But, on a whole, we didn't do enough. We lacked the passion that Craig speaks about. And we're going around in circles. I think this summer is going to be huge for the football club because we really need to. I do my own podcast, but I spoke about it with 3 Spurs fans last night that, Ennick and Levy have went through so many managers. And Chris spoke about it before. We've had every type of manager, and we're in this pandemic. The money's going to be tight, and we're in a period where some of your players are on decline, and it's going to be hard to get back to where we were 3 or 4 years ago. And it's going to take a really, really good manager appointment to get us back there.
Paul, let's come to you. TK writes here, why is Sissoko and Harry Winks playing? They are done at Spurs. The whole of Korea want Heung-min Son playing in a winning team with more ambition. He's gone in the summer. Now, straight after the game, I don't know how much of it you guys saw on TV, but inside the stadium, you saw Heung-min Son on the floor. Harry Kane and co went over to console him. He's in tears.
Yeah.
How must players like Heung-min Son be feeling? I know he didn't have a great game at all today. He's very, very poor. But are you worried about keeping players like this in the summer?
Of course we are, because they're ambitious. And again, it showed the level between us and City, I'm afraid, today. It was like boys versus men, I thought, out there. In every way, they handed us every single ball we had. They had 2 players on us. They were... they're collectively giving us one unit. They all know where each other are. One touch passing, and don't get me wrong, you're going to have to spend millions and millions to get to that standard. But if you can't do the basics right by just marking, picking someone up, just like Craig and we've all said, the passion, the intensity. It's a cup final, regardless if it's not the FA Cup, not Champions League. It's a cup for us. If you show the intensity, you won it, you can then build, and then you've got that winning mentality that's starting to roll into the squad. Not Spursy like we're, not bottlers when it comes to finals. They believing in themselves more that when it gets a specific moment when we're in a live final, we can produce and we can turn up. You didn't say any of that. And of course, I don't blame Son. I wouldn't blame Kane if they said, look, thanks, Daniel, but no thanks now. You saw how devastated they both were. I saw the sky clips of Harry and he just looked unconsolable like Sonny did. I want us to be, like I said in the previous, that's us winning things, but it takes something miracle for us to get the right caliber of players in. You need then to have our players that we want to get rid of, get sold theoretically. So you've got all that again. So it's going to be a really, really hard summer, and one I feel will either break us or make us, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I can't thank everyone enough for sending all their questions in. There are hundreds and hundreds of comments coming in right now, so we will try and get through as many as possible. Gary, let's come to you. Nigel writes here, Harry Kane, Harry Winks shouldn't have started on Ndombele and Gareth Bale. Kane should have come on as a sub, taking Moura off with Dumb. Ryan Mason, good fall guy for the owners.
Look, the thing is we're just going around in circles. At the end of the day, the game was there for the taking. Like you said, we could have, if we went to them. Look, City the last few times, the last time we played them, they hammered us 3-0, right? Outplayed us, I get that. The time before was 2-0. I think the time before that was 2-0. In one of the games, they had all the possession. They had a penalty. Lloris saved the penalty. Our backs were up against the walls, but we still went for the game. And we had them players, Sissoko, Winks, all that. If the players were up for it today, it doesn't matter if you've got Winks or Ndombele or Kane don't start or Kane does start. We got to a Champions League final without Kane, right? It's all ifs and buts. At the end of the day, like what Craig said, them players, no matter what starting 11 are there, should have gone out there and gone for it from minute 1, and we could have won that game. We could have won that game. The second half, look, listen, we rode our luck on the first half, but that's even more reason in the second half. You go in at half time, right? We didn't change it around, at half time, and I thought he should have changed it around. But I thought, you know what, he's going to give the players 10-15 minutes, see if they, have a reaction from the half time talk and stuff. And the longer it went on, and then he's made his substitutions, whether you agree with them or not. All right, Sissoko, we could be here all day. He could have maybe played Sanchez today instead of us. But at the end of the day, the longer it went on 0-0, our defending was good. We defended pretty good in that game, to be honest with you. I've seen some games with Dyer and Aurier, and they've been absolutely horrendous. You all have, and they weren't bad today. The longer that went on 0-0, we should have just gone for it. It's like what Paul said. I don't even think Son had a shot on goal. And do you blame Son? Do you say Son goes missing in loads of games? Do you blame Kane and say he's not up for it for finals? Do you say he probably wasn't fit? I don't care. At the end of the day, it's a one-off game. It's a cup final. If you're not fully fit, it doesn't matter. Go out there, give it your all, and we could have beaten that Man City team today. You're not telling me in that second half we couldn't have beaten that Man City team. It's 80 minutes and it's still 0-0. We could have just nicked the goal. I don't care if it comes off like, what did you say, off Eric Dyer's arse or something in the last...
Harry Winks, yeah.
You know, we could have done that. It was the longer it goes on that and they hit the post and Lloris does world after save, you think to yourself, this is going to be our day.
Gary, the thing is, just to jump in there, it's fine lines at this level. Yeah, we rode our luck, right? But how many times did you see Manchester City today make a stupid defensive decision like Aurier did, right? Yeah. I think he was okay today.
It wasn't too bad, Aurier, though.
He wasn't too bad. But at that moment, when we conceded that free kick, I said to my family watching, this is dangerous. You've got one of the best dead ball specialists in the world.
I said it as well.
And there you go. We can't all be wrong. So surely you'll be saying to Aurier, look, we know you've got a clanger in. I think Mourinho said to it, you're a walking disaster at least once a game. Don't, whatever you do, bring anybody down that area. Just stand your ground. Gareth, you said you teach kids. How many times have we all played football and you hear from the sidelines, jockey?
Yeah. But that was happening all day. How many free kicks did we give away?
So we just
give away in the first half as well, right in front of the goal. And I was saying with Gary as well, for how well Man City played, if I could come up just before the goal, the shots on target was 2-1. Royce only had him make a couple of saves. All right, there was times when they read their luck. But and they played some great football times. But in the second half, you could see in the second half how many balls they wanted to touch. Man City were struggling in the second half. They were struggling, and we couldn't take advantage of that.
It's like what we said. I mean, would that game have been any different if Vinicius played instead of Kane and if Ndombele played instead of Winks? I don't think it would have been. I think it would have been exactly the same. And would it have been a different final if Mourinho was still in charge? I don't think it would have been. It's all small margins, like you said, and you got to take your chances and ride your luck. And we didn't. And we didn't create much, and we didn't really have any shots on goal. I think it was one from Lo Celso, and that was about it. The thing I don't agree with is bringing Moura off, like everyone's in agreement with. He should not have taken off Lucas Moura, but not starting Bell, I don't think was the worst decision, to be honest with you, because when he came on, it was still 0-0, and there was plenty of time then with Bell with fresh legs to then go at City and win the game. How many times has City been all over us and then we've gone on and beaten them? We've done it a few times in the last few seasons. You know what I mean?
Melvin, let's come to you. Comment on screen now. It's focusing on Daniel Levy and ENIC. To sack Jose Mourinho 6 days before a final is poor. The fullbacks today, poor. Harry Winks starting today, poor. Having Ryan Mason as manager, poor.
Yeah,
you agree?
I think the problems, go deeper than just, our starting lineup today. I think they go all the way to Daniel Levy and the board. Our problems, they go, all the way to the roots. As a club, we don't really have a plan right now. We don't really have a vision for the future. We don't know where we're going, and it's disappointing because 2-3 years ago, we had built such a strong team and such a strong squad, and the club had such a strong direction, and we were only going up, which led us to a Champions League final. And now the club is so toxic right now, and it's so bad. And the relationship between the fans and the board, Levy out, Levy in, ENIC out, ENIC in. It's not a good time, and these things are translating into our results because the board aren't buying the right players and not moving the right players on, and it's holding us back. And to sack Jose 6 days before, I think I think Levy must have done it financially for either to get a reaction from the players and try to salvage any chance of top 4 or finishing as high as he can. I think winning the Carabao Cup wouldn't have made the biggest financial difference to Levy, but probably finishing between 6th and 5th would have, gave him a couple million more.
Yeah.
So, the club's priorities, I don't think aren't on silverware. We're in a pandemic, the club's losing money, and in
it needs to be to keep hold of Kane, though, doesn't it? And like the likes of Son, though.
Yeah.
Melvin, I don't agree with you too often, right? But what I will say about, which you make a great, fantastic point about, transmitting to the pitch, I think there's a disconnection between the board, the fans, the players. I think it's a combined thing that's happening.
Yeah.
Some of these boys live in London, right? And we talk about that share down the road, Arsenal. But look at that protest the other day of how many. We do not want the same situation happening here. Levy divides opinion among the fan base. I think over the next 5 years, it's really going to be judged. What happens. Where, as Melvin said 2 or 3 years ago, everything was going well. I think Pochettino overachieved with what he had available, and it probably caught Levy by surprise. Of how well he did. But now, he's made that decision. They sacked Pochettino, bring in Mourinho. It hasn't worked out. He has to now go and appoint another manager. The pressure is really on Ennick and really on Levy now with this next appointment. And I think it's going to be the making or breaking or Levy and Ennick. I really do.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah, that's the strange thing now, like you were saying. Sorry, Mel.
I was about to say that the Tottenham Trust, 90% of them voted for the board to be sacked or for them to move on. Listen, these guys represent the fans. They have our best interest in heart, and these guys are not happy with the direction the club is moving.
Yeah.
Which is sad, because we were such on a high, under Pochettino, and we were so happy with what the club was doing, building the stadium and the facilities, and it just took such a sour turn that it's disappointing. And how can we expect to be winning these cup finals when there's such fine margins, but there's no foundation at the club right now? How can we move forward with our foundation, our core deteriorating underneath us? How can we make steps in the right direction with all of these problems that are not on the pitch? We have lots of problems that are not on the pitch. We also have problems on the pitch and within the squad, but how can we make steps in the right directions with all these problems? And it's just there needs to be something needs to change. There needs to be a rebuild on the pitch and off the pitch.
100%.
Poch knew though, didn't they? Poch knew that there was going to.
Sorry, Paul.
Sorry, guys.
I was going to say.
Yeah, sorry.
There's another comment here from Will Stewart, and I know Will runs his own YouTube channel, so everyone do check that out. And Will, you must come on this channel one day and give your thoughts, because you do provide a number of comments on here, which I do really appreciate. Only positive: Toby, Eric, Lucas, and Hugo played great. Craig, now where do we, how do we take a positive from today? We've got 5 Premier League games left. We're currently 7th. We've played 33, won 15, drawn 8, lost 10. 53 points. We're 5 points away from top 4. Now, in my opinion, I think the top 4 is going to be very, very, very hard. Very, very hard. A miracle. What's the best that we can hope for? A Europa League place for next year?
Yeah. Realistically, I think that's true. I think we had a chat on one of the chats I came on a couple of months ago, and I said 6th. And I'll probably stand by that. That's the best we could possibly hope for. And it's not the fact that we are so many points away from the top 4. It's the traffic all around us and the teams that are around us. It's the sheer amount of teams. Everton have got a game in hand on us.
Yeah.
They could go above us. So, realistically, we could win all our games and still not get top 4, which is, it's quite possible. So, as for positives out of today, I thought the weather was quite nice. That's about it. That's all I could realistically. Chris, I would love to put a positive spin on it. I thought our goalkeeper played a blinder today. I thought Hugo was great today.
Yeah, he was good, wasn't he?
Very good.
But Just reading that if Levy sacked Jose for money, as he says, unforgivable. Yeah. But that's Levy for you, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Greg, there's a common word every time.
Yeah.
Just give me a yes or a no. If let's start with you, Gary. Just a quick yes or no. If Jose Mourinho was our manager today, would we have had more of a chance of winning?
No.
Gareth?
No chance.
Melvin?
Yes.
Craig?
Don't think so, no.
Paul?
I don't think so. Honestly, Chris, as I say, I don't think whatever we'd have done today would have compensated
What
for
about
Man
you,
City.
Chris? What about you?
They'll just...
I do.
Yeah.
As much as I think that it was the right decision to sack Jose Mourinho, I've said many times I thought that the timing was quite strange, and I think that Jose Mourinho was brought in to get us over that line, to get us over the line in games like this. So to sack a manager like that 6 days before, I thought was very, very strange timing. But Craig, sorry, come back to you. You were talking about the positives to take from today.
Yeah, I think I covered it. No, in all seriousness, as the guy said earlier, I can't remember his name. I think they were the only 4 positives to come out of it. Lucas, 2 centre backs, and Hugo. To be honest, don't think anybody else played that well. I'm not sure what's happened to Reguilon. The first few months he was there, I thought, wow, we've got to hold on to this guy.
He kind of lost his head today. It's weird.
It's
bizarre. It's playing with these players. Tony, it's playing with these players.
Do you reckon? It's bizarre. I mean, I think I don't know if we're going to come on to the new manager later, Chris. Whether we're going to cover that in this chat.
Here it is, a comment here from Josh, talking about Nagelsmann. If that happens, are you optimistic about next year? If we got Nagelsmann in, would you think that is the right appointment? And will we be backed? Will he spend money? Because Pochettino spoke about this rebuild. Jose Mourinho come in. He's spent some money. I just think that, like you've said many times, Craig, it looked like we haven't got a Christian Eriksen out there at the moment. Harry Kane keeps dropping deep. In my opinion, he's doing 2 or 3 players' jobs. I just think that there is so much to do. Whoever comes in as the next manager, when you think of what a great coach Pochettino was, a serial winner in Jose Mourinho, what is next? What is next for Spurs? I just think whoever comes in have got such a huge job on their hands. Paul, let's throw that one to you. Who should come in as manager, and how do they get this team going again?
Well, hopefully Nagelsmann, like we said previously on the other video, Chris. And then again, I said a previous message to you, with you before, you can run successfully if you get the right people in. And I'll highlight Leicester again. They haven't spent billions of pounds on players, but they've got the right players in the right position or working under a manager they want to play for. That is it, and it is the manager going to the board and saying, I want that player, getting them. Whereas we got the recruit side of it where you in on behalf of the manager, but they really want those players that they're scouting. You saw with Bergwijn on the Amazon Prime, but like it was Jose's decision. But when we see it this season, who was it? Who's doing the scouting? Is it just looking at all the figures and all the stats and him saying yay or nay? Really, when an old-fashioned scout would go out, the actual manager himself would go and watch players, and that's what's lacking in my personal opinion. It needs to be right players in the right positions, a manager that everyone wants to work with and are happy with, and then start building again and getting like a Brian Mason, Skippy, the players out on Troy Parrott, give them a chance now. Start letting some of the new blood through to the team, because they couldn't do any worse in recently, And
Paul, would you have
you
Sarri?
never know, you might just find another.
Oh, chance! Oh my God!
Would you have Sarri? Would you have Sarri? Because he's the favourite, over very slight favourite, but he doesn't inspire me, to be honest.
No, I'll go for Brendan Rodgers if you're going to go down the Sarri route. I'd rather have Brendan Rodgers like that, Craig. But I just want to see someone in that has full control of players that he wants to sign and he wants to bring into this club. That's why I think we've gone massively wrong. And I've said with, in the past, Steve Hitchen, all right, he's okay, but he's not a top scout that finds like the Mbappes. He couldn't even get Skriniar over the line. He was out in Italy and had a chance for dinner. Could have slipped a couple of things in there, wanted to get to sign the deal kind of thing, But, it needs something like They need something addressed in the summer, seriously, not from playing level, manager level, board level, the whole collective unit. Because we went through it before. Poch said it needed a rebuild, and obviously I'll revert back to the interview when he was sitting opposite him. He knew what the issue was. Players were getting stale. They weren't being pushed enough. There wasn't more competition for places, etc. And it's just this is the result of that over the last 3 or 4 years. We've now got to this because of what wasn't addressed when Poch brought to everyone's attention. It's just taken its time, but we're at now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Gary, let's come to you. Roy Price writes on screen now. It's going to be very hard, but we must aim for the top 4 and hope that we finish at least 5th and get an automatic Europa place. We need a good summer window. Now, whoever does come in as manager, and we've said this many times, the players that we've got, Heung-min Son, Harry Kane and co., the stadium itself, fantastic stadium, one of the best in the world, if not the one. And of course, training facilities, we've got it all. But we just don't have any trophies, and we just don't have, this winning mentality at the moment. I just can't get my head around. It's just so frustrating.
No.
Now, Roy is absolutely right. We've got to aim for this 4th place or get Europa League place, because whoever does come in, we've got to have European football next year, haven't we?
Yeah, 100%. Listen, we'll get Europa. We're not going to get Champions League. We're not going to finish. We're not going to get in the top 4. I don't think it's going to happen. And I would have thought that if we'd won today, I thought we'd get the Carabao Cup. I did honestly, genuinely believe we'd win that. I thought since the start of the season, our name was on that trophy. Because with Tottenham, we hate to admit it, but we've got to start low and at the bottom and work our way up. And the Carabao Cup was the perfect way to start that. Do you know what I mean? We win the Carabao, then it gives the lads a bit of confidence. They move on from that. But they just weren't up for it today, That was the problem for me. If they'd have gone out there and give it their all. I mean, I'll tell you another positive I'll take from the game today. We didn't lose 7-0 because we could have. We could have been absolutely embarrassed and, spanked badly. We could have been really happy.
Bring that under Total Cup back. We can start from there.
Yeah. But I mean, look, I think we'll get 6th place. We'll get Europa football. I think we'll get the Leipzig manager in, and then we go again. I just think it's just getting over the line, and we're a bit unlucky. It's a bit Spursy. We seem a bit jinxed, but you could say all of those things, but then you could also say it was there for the taking in the second half. As lucky as we rode our luck and everything else, we were still in the game. You know what I mean? Yeah, Son had a quiet one. Kane didn't do much, but it only needs one chance. I mean, look at the Liverpool-Newcastle game. I mean, they had that goal disallowed for a handball. It was all over, and then they scored again. They could have beaten Liverpool 2-1, and they got a draw. That was in like the 95th or 96th minute. Tottenham didn't look from minute 1 to that last minute like they even were going 75% or going for it. They just didn't look up for it. When you've seen in past games where we've really gone out there and gone for it, it's a cup final. And we didn't even look like we wanted to bloody score. It's annoying, it's frustrating, it's upsetting, you get angry. We've been here a million times before. But listen, the positives for me is the defence played pretty good. Lloris was pretty good. And we didn't lose 5-0 and get embarrassed because it could have been a lot worse. And let's just hope Woolwich, a.k.a. Arsenal, go out of the Europa, because what I don't want is us finishing 6th now, not winning the Carabao, and then winning the Europa League and getting Champions League football, because that will make this season worse for me. As long as they finish below us and win nothing, I'll take it a little bit easier. But today, we could have won it if we looked like we wanted to win it, but we didn't. So, it is what it is.
Gareth, let's come to you. Now, how do we end this season, with a smile on our faces? Because, of course, we're without a trophy yet again. 13 years without a trophy. It is just... I don't know what to say anymore. I try and be, look at the comment on screen now. You need to wake up 7th if we're lucky. I get comments like this all the time saying that I'm over optimistic, I'm overconfident, deluded. All of these comments. I try and be positive. I try and be positive about my club.
Yeah.
Try and back my club.
You're ambitious.
Yeah,
Look, Chris, you're a fan like me. You want to be positive, and I love Melvin as well. We disagree from time to time, but he's a positive fan, and that's what I like about Melvin.
Exactly.
But You know what, 7th would be really disappointing. And you know what, Gary makes a fantastic point. And you know, my best mate's an Arsenal fan, and you know, he was straight on the text today after the game. 13 years, ha ha ha. You know, and they are an awful team. Let's be honest, they are awful. And there's a possibility. I think they'll beat Villarreal. I think they'll be in the final. And I swear to God, you know what, I will be cheering on Man United if it's Man United in the final. But you know, when it comes to us, you know, it's an Oracle final passes by. You know, Chris speaks about, you know, the management. You know, people talking about Nagelsmann. You know, I'm not convinced. You know, I think I've watched Nagelsmann a lot over against English teams, apart from against Spurs last year. You know, where they look very good. This year against United, they were beat 5-0 in one game. You know, they went out against Liverpool over 2 games. You know, for me, Nagelsmann's got a lot to prove before I would, you know, hang my hopes to him. There's a manager I would really look. I really like Graham Potter. You know, he would be my choice. You know, if I could pick a manager, it would be him. You know, I think about when Potter, you know, come on, that we were in a similar state. We probably have a better squad still than we had then, but we were in a state where we needed to rebuild after the Harry Redknapp AVB era. You know, things were very sour under Tom Sherwood towards the end. You know, I think Potter could work with young players coming back. You think about Sessegnon coming back from Germany. You think about Skip coming back from Norwich. You know, could he do something? You know, he's done really well with Brighton. I know people will point their league position, but I think they're a lot better than what their league position says. You know, they're 1 or 2 strikers away from being a top side. You know, being a top half side, in my opinion. Yeah. So he would be my choice. You know, I would like to see Potter get the job, and you know, it might take a bit of patience, but he would be my choice as manager.
What about Nuno?
I think he's too defensive, Melvin. I think we'd have a similar kind of issue next year. Not that he's too much like Mourinho, but I think we'd have a similar, you know, being cautious. You know, I think Potter would really. When I look at him, he's a Spurs fit. He's very positive. He likes attacking football. He works with players. You know, the thing that drew me with Pochettino was his interviews. You know, he always was. You know, he never criticised. I know apart from that Burnley game with referees, it was always very positive. Even when things were down, you know, players always really backed them. And I think with Brighton, they went through 5-6 games losing, and I think they were on a really bad run when they played us in January. After, you know, the 31st of January, I think it was their first home win of the season. And, you know, people were on about Spurs at the time lacking confidence. And I thought this Brighton team are on a really bad run. And yet they still come out and played us off the park. You know, and I thought that, you know, he's the type of manager we want. He done really well in Sweden with Östersunds. You know, I think they played Arsenal in the knockout stages. And they actually won the away game. You know, so I think he would be the man for me. I don't know what you think, but, you know, that would be my choice.
Do you know what, Gareth? When I thought that things couldn't get any worse after losing the cup final today, you're mentioning Graham Potter managing Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Wow.
I don't know. I coach myself, and there's things I see in Potter that I'd like to see at Spurs. You know, people want to steal our name, but people forget that, you know, Louis van Gaal was first choice, and he turned us down, and that's why we got Pochettino. You know, Juan de Ramos was supposed to be the big appointment. You know, Redknapp only got that opportunity because Ramos failed. You know, our appointments over the last few years have been very, very poor. You know, according to Alistair Gold, we have 4 top targets. You know, Nagelsmann and Rodgers are the top 2, and the other 2 are Ten Hag and Potter. And I think Ten Hag will be one that he'll stay at Ajax. You know, Nagelsmann will go to Bayern Munich, so it'll come down to Rodgers and Potter. And I think Rodgers will stay at Leicester because they're going to be in the Champions League. I think
he's not leaving Leicester, no way.
Top 4 is very unlikely. You know, I think we need a miracle. I think even if we won our games, I think if Chelsea and West Ham had a drew on Saturday, we had a chance. We're 5 points behind Chelsea now, and you know, the 2 games is going to be very difficult to see them losing between now and then. So I think Potter will be the man.
I'd rather have this man, this Potter, if you can see him. I don't know if you can.
I don't know. Hey, at the end of the day, it's just
Well, we certainly need some magic. I'll tell you that.
Sorry, boys. Does nobody see any positives in Potter, and there's nobody agree with me at all?
I think if you look at the big picture, we went from Pochettino to Jose.
But Pochettino was at Southampton when he came on as well. People have to remind that.
Yeah, but Southampton were beating Manchester City. They were beating big teams when
Brighton won at Anfield this year. They beat Spurs. off the top of my head. You know, they've had results of it since Potter.
I don't know. I've always said whoever is in that seat, I'll back the manager. But you know, it's not a big name, and you might be right. Listen, you might be right on paper. It's not a big name, and then he can come in and do a good job and totally surprise you.
Well, that's actually who I want.
Doesn't motivate.
Doesn't
motivate me and get me excited straight away.
Yeah,
I agree with Melvin.
We had one of the biggest names, didn't we? And look how that ended with Mourinho. I mean, if we had won tonight, or today, sorry, with Ryan Mason, and then we'd gone on a good old run and stuff, probably he would have got the job next season.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So you're right in what you say. So, I mean, I think sometimes, you know, we think, oh, we need like the big name and everything else, but we had the big name for 18 months, you know, and I mean, I don't know, Chris, you generally think if Mourinho was still in charge, we'd have won that final with Mourinho.
No, I didn't say we would have won it. I think we would have probably had a little bit more of a chance of winning it with experience. But
maybe psychologically to Man City, but I think with the players, I don't think it would have made them play any different. But maybe Man City might have been a little bit more probably apprehensive or nervous, possibly, isn't it? Yeah.
You know, fair point to you, Gareth, for mentioning Graham Potter, because, you know, I can't even give you a name right now. You know, when you go from Pochettino to Jose Mourinho, I really don't know what is the best move.
Chris, I agree. I think we've had every type of manager. You know, it's very difficult to go and, but, you know, that's what I'm saying. When people say, oh, Nagelsmann's is the man, you know, I've seen it over Twitter that he's the man. You know, I think people are getting carried away. You know, I'm not comparing two managers, but AVB was supposed to be the next big thing. You know, Juan de Ramos, when he came he was the next big thing. You know, he won the European Cup with Sevilla. You know, I'm just not too certain on managers anymore. But what I see from Potter is I like him, and you know, I think we're in a situation where a top manager is not going to come, because I think Nagelsmann will go to Bayern anyway. You know, and I think Rodgers will stay put. And I think we're looking at, you know, middle of the road. I love to sit here and say we're going to attract the best, but I don't think we will. I think it's going to require a manager that's going to have to work, you know, probably overachieve like Pochettino did. Work with young players and really, you know, make the best of a tight budget. And I think from what I see when Graham Potter, he knows the Premier League, he works with young players, and there's his interviews, everything about him, it screams Spurs to me. I don't know about you. That's just the way I see it.
Yeah.
Melvin, let's come to you.
I'll throw one in the hat.
Sorry, Paul. I'll come to you in a second. Melvin, let's talk to you about John Rose's comment here. Stop talking about finishing above Arsenal. If Arsenal finish 20th and we finish 19th, is that a great season? Roy Price then writes, I agree with John Rose. We want to finish above Manchester City, forget Arsenal as a benchmark. I completely agree. I don't care where Arsenal finish, because all season I've seen Arsenal as a mid-table club. Now, we've had a very up and down season. We're still above them, but, you know, does it really matter? We should be aiming for, you know, finishing that top four constantly. And, you know, me as a Tottenham fan, I've said this many, many times, I want to see Spurs competing for the Premier League. You know, I know that we are we're miles away from that right now. But, you know, why is it considered such a big thing of finishing above our rivals? Yes, of course, it's nice to do that. But with Arsenal having such a poor season.
Yeah, on that topic, I honestly think we might finish above West Ham this season as well. You know, they've had their best season of the season of their lives, and, you know, they're talking all this talk, and I honestly think we'll finish above them this season. We won't get into the top four, but I think we'll be close. But I reckon we could finish above West Ham this season.
Sorry, I hit the jump up.
What frustrates me though is even when Arsenal have a bad season, they still win trophies. Like, this is what annoys me. You know, the point I'm making is, you're right, Chris. It doesn't really matter if we finish above Arsenal, but I'll tell you what does matter. It matters if they win the Europa and get in the Champions League. That matters, you know. And they've been worse than us this season, and they were worse than us last season, and they still bloody won the FA Cup. As awful as they are, and as joke as their fan bases and all their supporters, they're still doing better than us on the trophy front. And that's the annoying bit about it for me. And that's why we should have won today, because when Tottenham have been abysmal in the league, like all the times when we say 91 and 2008, you know, all the times we have won the Cups, we've been awful in the league. The same when we got to Champions League final, we were awful in the league. And that's why we should have turned up today and won the Carabao. And then if Arsenal did finish above us, It doesn't matter because we've won a bloody trophy, the first one in 13 years. Now we're going to be saying 14 years and then 20 years and 30 years, and we're still going to be saying it when we're bloody dead. Do you know what I mean?
See as well, I think an orphan that comes up this, right, is see when two teams are underperforming, they sort of, they try and know who's had a better season. Arsenal could go on and win the Europa League, but this whole Spurs-Arsenal thing has only really started over the last few years. When Arsenal were in the league and when Arsenal were finishing top 4 every season, there was none of this.
Exactly.
I think, now that both teams, especially over the last 2 years, I think Spurs finished 6th last year, Arsenal finished 8th, and they won the FA Cup in the season, which was a really killer blow. And to be fair though, whatever it is, they seem to take the opportunities when they get the finals. We can't do. But it would be really bad if they go on and win this Europa League and get into the Champions League. I can't think of a team that doesn't deserve it as much because they've lost like 13 or 14 games in the league. But taking that aside, I think this has only started because both teams are really struggling. It's almost like if we won nothing, that the whole Spurs Arsenal thing is a trophy. I just and as Melvin said, West Ham coming on it. How bad is this going to get before we, as Chris said, stop worrying about Arsenal, West Ham, and all these other teams and start worrying about the top of the league?
Yeah.
Do you know what, Gareth?
We finished second. What did it get us?
Sorry, I think the most we made progress is Pochettino. I think said it as a club. He didn't really look at Arsenal anymore. He didn't consider them. He only looked at the very, very top. And that's I think when we were at our best. And
Did you ever see that Thierry Henry? Did you ever see the Thierry Henry and Ledley Keane? The gloves are off. Ledley Keane, that when you were at Spurs, I always thought that you were always thinking about us when we weren't thinking about you. But over the years, towards that sort of time when Spurs were challenging the likes of the top of the league, everyone always talks about the Leicester season. I thought that got away from us. We really should have done better. The best football I ever seen was the year after against, the year we finished. I think we only finished about 6 or 7 points behind Chelsea. We're very unlucky that we finished 86 points. And a lot of seasons that would have been enough to win the league. But that season we played some really, really good football. But it was the last ever game at White Hart Lane, Cup Final, or Northampton Derby. And they done our gloves are off. And he said that now it's turned on his head that Arsenal are now thinking about Spurs. And I think, testament that's why I don't criticise the club too much, is that the gap between Spurs and Arsenal on the pitch is definitely closed. But we want to see trophies because obviously we're all about trophies. But the gap is closed. But exactly. But at the same time, we can't be getting too carried away with that. Finishing above Arsenal this season should be an achievement. It really shouldn't be because they're so poor.
Craig, let's come to you. Matthew West. Sorry, Paul, I will come to you in a sec. Craig, let's come to you. You realise the problem is Daniel Levy and the players and not Jose Mourinho. More sticking up for Jose Mourinho here. We got rid of the one thing that was not the problem. What are you thinking about that?
I can't agree with the last bit, to be honest. I certainly do think it's a combination of a lot of things, but Jose Mourinho was a big part of that. If you believe the rumours, he'd lost the dressing room weeks ago, actually. And you could kind of see that. And you can't argue with the fact there was a bit of a bounce on Wednesday against Southampton. But I do still maintain now, and I said it a while back, I hope... See, I want the club sold. I want ENIC out. I'm definitely one of those people, especially after the last week, to be honest. But then again, you've got to worry perhaps who does take us over. Are they going to be? Sometimes it is better the devil, I can't believe it would be, but you get an American come in or somebody that doesn't really understand it. Were we better off under somebody like an Alan Sugar, who's a Tottenham fan with loads of money? Sugar saved the club essentially, didn't he? Really?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Paul, I know you're going to say it in a minute, but the only thing I would pinly hopes to with Yannick and Levy, because I am getting that point as well, you do not spend £1 billion on a stadium if you haven't got a plan. There has to be some sort of plan in place. I don't know about you.
Yeah, there's got to be. There's got to be. And I always heard that they wanted I don't know how much they paid for Tottenham, but obviously they're not going to sell it for less than what they paid, and they wouldn't. Let's be fair. Even at the moment, they wouldn't. So. Who out there wants to buy a football club? If anybody's watching this,
the only concern is, do we become a self-sustaining model like Arsenal, and just as long as the club is making money, the owners will be happy. You know, I do not want that. I do not want. You know, I think at the protest the other day, I could see why people were doing it. But you seen the Arsenal protest about. I do not want our fan base being that toxic. You know, I really don't. So in the next 5 years, now the pressure is really on. As I said it in the show, Enoch and Levy have to show us what they were going to do for the next 5 years.
Yeah, but is it the pandemic that stopped them doing that, or are they just in it purely to run it like a business? And I get it; it is a business, but you know, when you look at other clubs like the Sheikh at Man City has invested in the team and invested in the right places. Does that come down to the board not giving Steve Hitchin the money to go and say, you know, this is how much we've got. If we can't get him for this amount, then you can't have him. I don't know.
Craig, you spoke about it. You spoke about it last week. We love Ted Hissons. They run an AC12 inquiry and they what's going on with Spurs. Sort of they get to the bottom of who's responsible, so we can actually hang them up at this, you know, and really say that's what's happened over the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, we go after bent board members. Yes, definitely. Actually, you'd say it better than me, Gareth. You've got the right accent for it. So you should say it.
Bent board members.
Mother of God.
I urge you to go and look at all of the chat comments about Graham Potter. There are quite a few that you'll be interested in. Paul, let's come to you now.
All right, Chris, positive or negative?
Paul, I'll let you see. Paul, let's come to you. What is the plan? What is the plan? You know, a comment now. Sean Dyche, is that the plan?
Personally, I like to see a that we've mentioned previously. Someone's affiliation with Tottenham, whether that's a Jurgen Klinsmann, something like that, someone that knows the club. Right, don't get me wrong, Ryan Mason's in there now, but you know, if the players that, shall I say, the managers that have been listed aren't available, why not get someone that knows the club inside out that's got an affiliation with it? Don't get me wrong, I know I said Jurgen, but the other manager is Robbie Keane. Has give him a chance with Ryan Mason, Ledley King. You know, personally, I'd like to see Nagelsmann, but you know. I agree. Potter, no. For the club would be no offence. You know, I don't.
Sorry, can I ask you why Nagelsmann?
Nagelsmann, I just like the way that they attack, the attacking threat that he obviously gives IB Leipzig. I think it's very good, and I think if we have Kane and Son particularly, I think it'd work well with them personally. You know, the best form of defensive attack, and I think if we keep what we got and just build and just get the right defenders in, I think we'll be all right personally, and then just get the bit out that we have that these silly mistakes, and then move and progress with the youth. As I say, you said Sessegnon, I agree with Skippy.
Don't get me wrong, if Nagelsmann comes on, I won't be I won't be against him. I just think that a lot of people are getting caught in the hype of him. He's a young foreign manager. How many times have we seen it? You know, people are really.
I think before his performance today, I would have said get Son's dad in, but after today's performance, I've changed my mind. But I'll get Son's old man in as the manager. Let him do it for a season. He's hardcore.
Gary, let's come to you.
Affiliation. That's what I think.
If you look at the stats today, Gary, possession 62% to Manchester City to Tottenham's 38. Shots 21 Manchester City to Tottenham's 2, and shots on target 1 to us, 4 to Manchester City.
Yeah.
Why in your opinion were Spurs not on it today?
I don't know. Listen, look, I mean, to be honest with you, them stats, they weren't far off before in other games with them, and we've beaten them. You know, they've had a lot of possession and more shots than us, and they've had penalties and missed them and all sorts of stuff. So it's fine margin that's riding your luck. But what I will say today, and we touched on it already, Son was quiet, Kane was quiet. You know, do you blame Son and Kane? Do you blame the midfield? Would it have been different if Don Ballet was on? You know, should we have not played Winks? But you can go around in circles. At the end of the day, they just weren't up for it. We was all up for it, but they weren't up for it in the slightest. They, you know, if they had 5% passion what we had at home watching it, or at Wembley like you, Chris, then they might have done something. But from as soon as the whistle went, it was just all one-way traffic, wasn't it? You know, it was just hanging in there, really. But you just felt that we might nick it, because I remember when we beat them 2-0 before, it was all Man City, and I remember they were talking about possession don't mean nothing. I don't give a monkeys. They can have 99% possession. As long as we win the game, I couldn't care less. You know, we can play awful, you know, and get an own goal. Couldn't give a monkeys. A dodgy VAR decision, I don't care, you know, but we didn't even look like scoring today. That was the most annoying thing. You know, you get all the way to the final, albeit it wasn't a difficult route, not like the Champions League final, but like the Champions League final, we just didn't turn up today. That's the annoying bit. It's a one-off game. You know, I see a lot of posts, everyone's like, oh, I feel sorry for Son and I feel sorry for Kane. Yeah, I feel sorry for them, but I feel sorry for myself and all the fans. You know, they're part of the team as well. Go for it. You know,
especially
you
when
the trophies and all that. Don't give it, oh, you know, I feel sorry for Kane. He's got to leave and get better things. Score a bloody goal, mate. Son, turn up today. You know, and I love Son and Kane, don't get me wrong. But, you know, they want trophies as much as we do, and everyone else does, and all the other bloody players, you know? And not one of them players today really, apart from Lucas Moura, looked like really doing much, if I'm honest with you. It was very, very disappointing. But, like I said, a cup final was a one-off game, and when it was like the 80th minute, and they still hadn't found a way to score, that's when we should have just tried to have done it. But we weren't making any opportunities, really, were we? So that was the problem. City were by far the better team. It doesn't mean, just because they're by far the better team, it doesn't mean that we can't win that game. Because as you well know, a lot of teams that play crap can still win a game. And that was there for the taking today. And Son, Kane, and all of the others, apart from Moura, didn't take it. So it is what it is. And here we are again, 14 years and the trophies are coming.
Gary, see over the last few years, right? The only difference between Spurs and Arsenal, right, is Arsenal have, like, there's cracks there, right? And they get the plasters always seem to go over them. For us, we can't get any plasters. We can't get any plasters at all to go over that.
No.
I mean, if we had won that game today, right, it would have been, you know, we'd have loved it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I would have, you know, I haven't seen. I mean, the trophy we won in 2008, I was only 7, so it would have been my first, you know, trophy as a fan. You know, really, I might have been in the bar with my dad and stuff, but that's the memory. Do you know what I mean? But you know, that's been the big problem, that we just can't get over the line.
No.
And if we had won today, we'd have still woke up and tomorrow buzzing. But after a few days, we'd have realized that, you know, we still need a lot of work to get back to where we are.
Agree, 100%. 100% agree.
You know, and that's where we are. But I mean, I think somebody put up there on the screen that I'm desperate for silverware. There's actually a podcast and not far from where I'm from called Allergic to Silverware, and I'm actually thinking I'm signing up because I actually feel like we are now allergic to silverware.
I can't believe it. I genuinely can't believe we didn't win that Carabao Cup today. You know, it was there for
2 players, right? The 2 players that played in the Irish League and they never won a trophy. So they started a podcast called Allergic to Silverware. I swear to God, I now think that's us.
Do you know what, Gary? I'm with you. I feel absolutely gutted. I can't actually believe that we have lost today. You know, I told myself again that we're going to win this trophy. 13 long years. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. I'm just gutted.
It's just frustrating.
I feel the same as you. I feel that the fans deserve more.
Yeah.
And the fans certainly deserved it. And I felt that the fans deserved today. You know, to think of the Spurs team parading that trophy, you know, in front of us, you know, 2,000 Spurs fans there would have been absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm just so disappointed. Gareth, let's come to you. Stefan writes on the screen now, our midfield is the biggest concern, so unbalanced. Now, of course, even under Jose Mourinho, there were 17 different combinations alongside that back 4 or back 5. But there are now concerns in midfield, aren't there?
Massively, right? People always talk about, and I've talked before, is recruitment, right? We talked about managers, about players. You know, one of the biggest things of the summer apparently was rumours to believe that Mourinho didn't want Bale. You know, and we all love Bale coming back. Great fairy tale story. But if a manager doesn't want a player, then we really shouldn't be sending him. That's just my thoughts. You know, you shouldn't give a player you don't want. And it's something that's not just happened to Mourinho, it's happened to different kind of managers, right? Now, why is it that every record signing is a flop? Soldado, or Paulinho, Soldado, Lamela, Lo Celso, Ndombele, Sanchez, the most expensive defender. What have they ever done for us? You know, the recruitment has been so poor. And getting back to the original point about the midfield being unbalanced, you know, every one of us today would have picked a different midfield. I have no doubt about it. Who could you have put as your 3 today? Højbjerg, fair enough, was a cert. I'm a big fan of it on Belly, but he hasn't been doing it. And I thought today we couldn't carry anyone. We couldn't have a passenger player. And I think sometimes then Don Belly is a passenger. He might put the odd great moment, but over 90 minutes, he doesn't do enough.
No.
And it's maybe becoming an issue because I think we'll probably give him an hour a year, and then we're going to be in a situation next year. What do we do with him? It's 65, 60, 65. It's down the drain. You're not going to get it back. We'll sell. So again, I think he works hard. But again, it was Hammer Fernandez apparently, and look at the difference. It always seems to be we're linked with players that the manager wants. It's hard to believe, but some of the players that Pochettino was rumored was Grealish, Madison, Mane, Wijnaldum, and we get Sissoko and Kuru. We always seem to get and Kuru would have trapped over his 2 lists. That was the I'm not to be disrespectful, but he was so poor. We're linked with these players. We don't get them. And again, it's back to the same old story of midfield's unbalanced, defense isn't good enough. And as I said before, I don't think the defense is good enough. But today, you couldn't really blame them. The midfield was good. And we can't. People are asking me before the game, who would you pick as your starting 11? And be honest, I couldn't have picked the starting 11.
No.
I really couldn't. If I could have got Skip on that team today, I would have. Not to say that we should, the championships that the Bayern are success, but at least he was a player on form. The Norwich fans are he's a lot closer to me. These are hear them, and they're absolutely all over Twitter. The Norwich fans are absolutely loving him.
They love him, man. Love him.
Whether he comes back and does it in the Premier League's another issue, but that's how bad it's got that we're looking at players that are out on loan to come back onto the team, and and that's not right. It really isn't, and it's a massive summer for the club. I keep saying it every year, but I really think
there's people talking about Danny Rose now, and you think, why are you talking about Danny Rose?
My uncle turned around to me today. My uncle turned around to me today and said, "Can we not get Danny Rose back on the team?" And I said, "He's not even got a squad number."
Do you know what I mean? It's madness, isn't it? But this is how desperate it's got. It's sad. It's so sad. But Chris, I feel your pain, Chris, because I thought we'd win it today, no matter what. And I didn't think we'd have a good performance. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't getting carried away. I knew we'd ride our luck, and I knew Man City would have a lot of possession and would have the majority of the chances and stuff like that. But I did genuinely think we would win that cup today, and not winning it is a real disappointment, man. So
Gary, funny story. Funny story, lads, right? My uncle's supporting Spurs a long time, right? He's 60 now, right? He met all the players when they played Dundalk in 1981, right? Yeah. And I asked him, he was on my podcast on we done a Spurs special last night with 3 Spurs fans. My dad, my uncle, and another Spurs fan. And I asked him, who would your next appointment be? And he said to me, the man that Spurs are looking for was buried in 33 AD because we need an absolute miracle. He said, I've seen every type of manager. He said, some of the players that I met, he said, I was there for the 1981 final when Vicky Villa scored that goal.
Yeah.
He said, we are going round in circles. And he said, the man we need was buried in 33 AD. And it's getting to that point. Where do they go?
Yeah, that's it. And that's the problem. Like, what team do you select? What manager do you bring in? It's unfortunately, as we all know, on here tonight, if we'd won that Carabao Cup, it would have given us a lift. Yes, the cracks are still there, but it would have given us a lift and then hopefully kind of just got a bit of confidence and stuff. But now losing that today as well just makes everything worse, doesn't it? It's such a shame. Such a shame. You go all that way, you get to the final, you ride your luck, you keep a clean sheet up until the 80th minute. You can't really knock the defenders. I thought they were good today. Toby, Dyer, they had a good game. They were all right. I'm not gonna bash them. They were decent. And then you just need Son to just do something, and he was just non-existent today. Now, do you blame Son all for that? Do you blame the midfield? Maybe it's a little bit of everything, but unfortunately, it just didn't happen, man. And it's a real gut wrencher, I'm afraid.
And guess what? We've got Sheffield United next Sunday. See, come Friday or Saturday, we'll be bouncing again at the thought of an hour game. And this is the thing as a fan. People always go to me like, can you not just stop supporting, or can you not just give it up? I love this club. This is my life. Do you know what I mean?
It's in my DNA.
I love them, but I hate them all at the same time. Absolutely love and hate them, and they, I suppose the really low moments like this is obviously for the high moments, but I'm struggling to find the high moments at the moment. It's been a long time, it's like
not been
it's
many
all
this
good well
season.
going through a season and getting some good results and absolutely hammering Man United at Old Trafford and, beating Woolwich and getting a good result against City. They're all great games, but ultimately at the end of the season, if you don't win a trophy, for me as a fan, I know everyone talks about top 4 leaving, everything else and the money in the club and all that. I want a trophy. I'm sick to death of it,
I've seen
great
game.
game.
Totally 2 trophies. And I'm only, and the first one I was only 2, and the second one I was 8.
Yeah,
So
see, I'm a lot older than you, so I was lucky enough to. Well, I saw our defeat in '87, but then I saw us win the FA Cup in '91, so that was nice. And then 2008, but it's like I said to Chris on the show the other day. I did not think 30 years later I'd be on his YouTube channel saying that we haven't won the FA Cup since. When we won it back then, I think we were the record. I think we had the record like we'd won it 8 times or something.
8.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
See the game against Arsenal. It was 30 years ago, like last week or 2 weeks ago. The 3-1. And it was my first time seeing the whole near enough. They showed 15 minutes highlights. Some of the football we played, and my dad said to me, I was only a young boy at the time when that goal went in, and when they won the game and they went on to beat Forest the final. They said it was going to be 30 years again, and God was on before they won the FA Cup. That's just the FA Cup.
You make a good point because, and Chris will agree with this. But Chris, back then in '91 when we did win that FA Cup, and Paul Craig, you'll all know what I'm saying. We were shocking in the league that season, right? We weren't good in the league that season. Yep. Gascoigne was leaving. There was all problems with money. Terry Venables was talking about leaving the club and everything else. But in that semi-final, I remember going into Wembley and coming down them steps and seeing Gazza take that free kick. And as soon as that free kick went in, you just knew we were going to win that game. There was something about Tottenham in the semi. And then that Arsenal team, like today, we were the underdogs and they were an amazing Arsenal team that season. No one can deny that. And we were the underdogs and we weren't great in the league. But we absolutely hammered them in the semi and we outplayed them and the football was amazing. And then the final, we missed the penalty and everything else. But what happened? Paul Stewart got an equaliser. And you're talking about Paul Stewart, who at that time when he was playing for Tottenham was going through absolute hell, wasn't he? He was drinking, he was taking drugs, all that's happened to him in his life. And he still managed to get a bloody equaliser. And we still went on and won the game, albeit an own goal. But we found a way. Why can't we do that anymore?
I know. It's frustrating.
Totally agree, Gary. Well said. Well done.
I'm going to wrap it up now. I'm going to give you all the opportunity to sum up the game and sum up Tottenham's season so far before we all go and watch the next episode of Line of Duty. I'm excited. I don't even want to talk to you guys anymore now. I just want to go downstairs and watch Line of Duty. That's it.
Chris, I know from some of your shows, and I've never seen you as deflated as you were today. I know you were at the game and stuff, and I've seen your Instagrams, I've seen your stories. Who else was at the game? Was anybody else at the game? No. I've seen Chris. I've seen your stories. I've seen your posts. You were so optimistic, and I got up today. I was out from 9 o'clock watching. I must have listened to Aussie's Dream 30, 40 times a day. Because that's how I felt so. I'm not even confident about the belief he has as a fan. And I've seen this is the worst I've ever seen you. And you know what?
Yeah, I must have played Chaz and Dave 100 times over the weekend, over and over and over.
And you know what? That's just being a fan. You know what? As Chris said, the fans deserve more. And Chris, I can only, you fair play to you and the 2,000 fans that turned up today. These were fantastic. All I could hear was the fans.
That's a good point you raised there. I just want to say that very quickly. Let me tell you, until City got that goal, they weren't making any noise whatsoever. But the Tottenham fans, Chris, I'll take my hats off to you. From the start of that game, they just did not stop. The noise from the Spurs fans and everything else. And that's what hurts as a fan, because you know how much the Tottenham fans want it. They're singing, they're passionate. The City fans weren't even making any noise until they went one up. And even then, Tottenham was still going for it. And because of that, that's why we should have won today. But, there's no justice in football, and it's sad, but it is what it is. We've got to brush ourselves down and we say, look, let's try and end the season good, get a European place, and then we go again next season. And we just hope, listen, it's only a Mickey Mouse Cup. We didn't want it anyway. Let's win the Europa Cup season, or the FA Cup.
But Melvin, final thoughts from you?
I don't know. It's been a really, really strange season. It's probably the strangest season I've ever seen. You know, we were top of the league for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I've never seen Spurs top of the league. Never. You know, we're top of Arsenal, and you know we lost the cup final. When you look at it on a whole, it's not a positive season. You know, we sacked our manager. We've not beaten anyone, you know, of the top 6 since about November. We've not had a really, really solid performance against a top team since November. So when you guys say you expected us to win today, I didn't. You know, I'm upset, I'm gutted, but it's only because I've been preparing myself for this loss for about a month and a half now, because I had no confidence in this team. No, seriously, I've been preparing myself for this because I knew it was going to be hard, and it was going to be hard to take. So the Champions League final, I was gutted, and I was, I was sad for a long time after that. But I've been preparing myself for today because I did not expect us to win today. How can you beat, the champions of England who've been consistent all year, with a club who sacked their manager? We have players who can't play for 90 minutes because they get tired. You know what I mean? We're not a proper football club right now. It's a joke. Some of these things, we don't do things like a proper football club. We don't.
We just do it the Tottenham way. We just do everything the Tottenham way. But
we the hard way. We always do things.
We beat them earlier in the season, so we could have beat City. We were capable of beating them, but we just didn't turn up. We didn't look like beating them, but we could have beaten them. It's possible, because on our day we can beat any team. And we can win finals. We have done it. You know what I mean?
Do you know what it is? Do you know what it is with Spurs? You always feel that we're so close.
Yeah.
Like so close. Like we're like one player, 2 players.
Yeah.
Other part, you always felt that we're one player away from like being the best team in the country. Now we're obviously a lot further away, but you still seen that game as Craig or Gary, as you spoke about the game at dawn. The counter-attacks were opening up. You almost felt that was wrote for Kane and Sunday. Like up for a goal.
Go for it. Press them. Do something. Just, you know what I mean? Like, even I would like to see Lamella come on, and because Lamella gets really into them and annoys them and gets free kicks and stuff and little flicks. Just, there was nothing. There was nothing there today. It's so frustrating. And the longer it went on 0-0, I've said it a million times, we were still in there with a chance. And that's the annoying thing. We could have been 4-0 down at half-time, but we wasn't. Yeah. And you take that into the second half, and we did lift our game, and we did start playing a bit better. And we could have beaten them because we have beaten them. So we could have beaten them today. I know Man City are going to win the league, and they'll probably come close to winning the Champions League, and they're a great team and everything. But I don't buy that. We beat them earlier in the season, and we could have beaten them today. And that's the most frustrating thing about it. You know what I mean?
Do you know what, Gary? Gary and Gareth. Sorry for interrupting you again, Paul. I was just going to say, Gary and Gareth, thank you so much for your input tonight, because I think you two have done the majority of the talking tonight, and I think you've made it so easy for me, Melvin, Craig, and Paul, because we're all so down, and you two have taken over the chat, which I can't thank you enough for.
I think me and Gary are very passionate. We're just very passionate, and although we're down, me and Gary, I don't know. I'm not dissing these lads, but Melvin, I know at times you've been struggling, with Mourinho and stuff, and you backed them, and you took a lot of stick over it, and Craig, I know you're at the end of your tower with Paul. It's nice to meet you, but Craig and Gary, I just feel the same as you. We're always going to try and bounce back, and despite all this negativity, and I always feel that next season we go again. I don't know.
Look, to sum up from me, because I want to go much line of duty. I lived through the 90s or the late 90s and the early 2000s, and like most of you, I've known it worse than this. Yeah, we're feeling it now because we've gone through it again. And my 9-year-old collapsed on the sofa, threw himself back, and he went, "Oh, why again, Tottenham?" I said, "That is what you've bought into. That unfortunately, that's your club now, mate." I said, "This is what it's like. This is what it's like, and you're going to suffer like the rest of us. You're going to suffer like the rest of us, like me, like I have done for 47 years. So get bloody used to it. Stop crying, and go and put your shoes away." So I was trying I was trying to just be honest with him, to be honest, and I
Yeah.
think I made a 9-year-old cry more than he was. But he's all right now, and he'll forget about it, like the rest of us will forget about it.
Yeah.
Come Sunday against Sheffield United,
We're back on it. We're back on it.
we're back on. We'll be come on, you Spurs, and you know I don't blame any one particular for today. I think it was a combination of things. Ryan Mason did his best. I'd never certainly blame Ryan Mason for today, and yeah, that's all I can say. I'm down now, but I'll bounce back. We'll all bounce back. Hopefully, the team will bounce back. And
100%.
one thing is for sure, there is a massive, massive summer coming up at Tottenham Hotspur, and
Yeah.
that will be from the manager through to the players, and I think the whole club. And let's see what the future holds and the summer holds, because I think we're going to be having a few more of these chats over the next few months.
Yeah.
And hopefully there'll be better things to come and brighter days ahead. So don't, not all is bad. There's worse things in the world. I know it feels like the end of the world at the moment, but keep smiling and keep believing.
But
And come on, you Spurs.
Can I just say, I just still do, and I know people say don't compare yourself or worry about Woolwich, but I do really want Arsenal to go out the Europa, because for me, if we're not getting top 4, which doesn't look likely, and we haven't won the Carabao Cup, I do not want them down the road winning the Europa and getting Champions League football.
Oh,
as long as they go out.
There's actually a comment come on screen there about literally 30 seconds ago, and I couldn't have summed up it better. This chat has been so much better than today's game. And Chris, you brought on the lads. Well, I swear to God, I felt so down at run. Now I still feel down, but I've had such fun over the last hour and a half. The chat itself has had fun. They've enjoyed the show.
It's a Mickey Mouse Cup, Chris. It's a Mickey Mouse Cup, mate. We didn't want it anyway. Look, listen, just if you want to make yourself feel better, think how bad it was with the Champions League final. That hurt for me. That hurt a lot more than what today hurt.
Yeah.
You wasn't saying that when you.
My Chelsea's wife saying, I didn't say it. What did I say earlier?
I said you wasn't saying that when you were crying your eyes out.
Well, no, I wasn't saying it earlier when I was crying my eyes out, admittedly. But, on a positive, we could have been really, really embarrassed. Didn't you get embarrassed once by Man United, babe? 6-1 Chelsea lost once to Man United, didn't they? Was that the FA Cup final? Yeah. And she went to that. So, listen, there's been a lot worse times than what they're at the moment. We lost 1-0. Yes, we know we lost to a player that should have been sent off. But at the end of the day, they were the better team. It's a Mickey Mouse Cup, and we go again. We try and go for top 4. If we don't, we're going to finish at least 6. We get European football, and we meet up at the games next season, and win or lose, we do it together.
I will over next season from Ireland, so I'll see you all there.
Come over, and we can all like be doom and gloom together.
Paul, I'm gonna leave the last word with you, Paul, because I think all of us have interrupted you tonight. So apologies.
Sorry, Paul.
Take it away. I'll talk about whatever you want to close the show.
I'm going to say, guys, the pleasure and highlight of the night is seeing you guys, because you're bright on my day. So let's get the nicety out of the way. And as we say, we can't smile without you. We're sad and you're sad. So if you only know.
Somebody interrupt him, please. Somebody interrupt him.
All I can say is these are really, really good, and I really enjoyed the chat. Negative or not, we love this club, the butts, and I'll always be a Tottenham fan. Yeah. I don't care if we don't win our trophy. I'll always be a Tottenham fan. But I do think over the next 5 years, the big times are going to be. It's going to be a test, but the big times may well come our way. And come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Definitely.
James, thank you very much for your comment. This is why I love Spurs, the fans, and you lads. Thank you very much indeed. People are loving your passion as well. Gary, Gareth, Melvin, Craig, Paul, I can't thank you enough. It's never, ever easy talking about Spurs when we've lost, particularly a cup final again. Like you've all said, we've got to pick ourselves up. We've got 5 Premier League games left. We've got to get that European spot, whether it be Champions League, Europa League. We need a European place for next season. Really enjoyed talking to you guys. Enjoyed it a lot more than today's game. It was nice going back to Wembley Stadium. Nice seeing live football again. Let's hope that things are back to normal very, very soon. Thank you very much, guys, and come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Pleasure, guys.